Today, Ford pulled its 2025 guidance, said Trump's tariffs could have a significant impact on the bottom line, which is really amazing. I mean, this happened in a week. Their entire world seemed to fall apart. It was a week ago that General Motors suspended guidance. And hours after that, I talked to the Ford CEO, Jim Farley, and I asked him, are you going to have to suspend guidance in a week? What's going to happen to you? This was 1 week ago, and he said this.
We know exactly what the tariff bill would look like, in terms of cost for the company. We know the offsets. Next week, I think we'll be able to tell people kind of what the tariff bills for Ford would look like, the most American company, what kind of offsets. What we don't know, Aaron, is what are the import competitors going to do?
Yeah. That was a week ago. I mean, this is the world that we are living in now. 1 week later, Ford coming out and saying, sorry, we got to pull our guidance for the year. No tariff deal. And as you know, and at some point they're going to have one. The issue, though, also now is, well, why did they say they had one when they didn't? Lutnick said done. I believe 5 times he said that there was a deal done a week ago. Then Kevin Hassett said there would be one announced by the end of the day, maybe the day after that. And still nothing, right? That's sort of okay. Eventually you're going to get one, but you weren't right leading up to it.
It's the boy that cried wolf. And I think that's the worry, is that you continue to talk, and we've talked about on the show the last month, credibility goes down. And the reality is, for Mattel, for GM, for Ford, for Harley Davidson, they need to know the rules of the game. You talked about it last week. And then that's the issue. This is real. Go to LA, look at the port, look at the ships coming in. It's the reality. And the consumer over the coming weeks, just like you saw from Telsey and others, you're going to start to see those prices increases, the inventory go down, and you could talk all you want. Doesn't change the math.
Peter?
You know what? I just find it's so upsetting to see how flippant he is with everybody else's situation, and then he's sitting there with his crypto thing. I guess he's at the crypto thing because he wasn't invited to the Met Gala. But the fact that everyone is supposed to be without as many dolls, and and these are major U.S. companies that are still. We've been on this show now for about a month, and we still don't know anything more specifics from Liberation Day, if that's what you want to call it, the big reveal. We know absolutely nothing except a bunch of promises which have not been fulfilled. Credibility is completely out the door. I don't think people should be sort of defray the idea. Wall Street has been up 9 days in a row. You know what? In a way, it's almost not significant because, it's climbing a wall of worry. Right. It has nothing to do with reality.
Well, I mean, you look at Ford.
Everyone says to me, well, but Wall Street is up. Things must be great. Yeah. I don't think so. We've eaten away. Ken Griffin, I go back to it right away. Brand America has been eroded, and this flippancy about everyone else should
that's what you guys talked about
should swallow this is really distressing to
Paul,
me.
It's interesting, this issue of dolls, okay? And I know it keeps coming up, and then people ask him about it because it came up, but he doubles and triples down. Okay, here's what's fascinating about this. We went back to an interview in 2011 that I did with him, and this topic came up in a very specific way. I'll just play this one part of what he said.
Instead of buying from China, we'll be making the gadgets and the toys for Barron Trump and everybody else that buys their children toys. They'll be made in Alabama and Iowa and lots of other places.
I mean, there it is. Barron Trump's toys will be made in Alabama and Iowa and lots of other places. It's not a new idea, and it's toys, right? It's actually having toy manufacturing in the U.S.
Right. I mean, it's just not profitable to be made in the U.S. I mean, back in the financial crisis, we looked to actually make a game, and we tried several producers in the U.S.
Oh, so you tried to do it?
We did. We couldn't, so we did it through China. It would have been $30 delivered per item in 2010. From China delivered, coming across the ocean, it was $10. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can't get the production to do it. The dolls, I have 4 daughters who are all grown up now. They don't use dolls, but I would have loved that $2 maximum back then because $120 in the house is just a little too much. But right. I joke, but right. It's this. We're always saying, oh, we're going to make these things. We're going to make these things here. But certain things you don't
are
want
not
to make
going
here.
to be made here.
Yes,
right.
And I think in the talk about a trade deal, I think the credibility, the market is giving credibility to Secretary Bessent at this point. And if you don't see something by the end of next week, I think there's going to be a big loss of credibility within the markets, and that's when you could start to see a problem because as Dan said, the boy who cried wolf. We need to see something then, and then once you see that, people's dominoes can start falling into place.
Right, and that will be crucial to see what happens. I mean, Gene, because at this point you got Mattel suspending guidance,
Right.
And Ford. I mean, I'm emphasizing Ford a lot because Jim, he was very confident last week, and he said we don't know what our competitors will do. But we know the tariffs. We know and it was the night GM suspended. And here we are a week later, and they're throwing their hands up in the air on the future.
And this is the CEO of Ford. Think about the people sitting at home trying to decide, should I continue to put money into the 529 account for my kids? Should I continue to put money into my 401k? These are the questions that are coming in, because if these CEOs have lost confidence, individual investors have no idea what to do. And the degree of roller coastering, it's nauseating for them. They just don't know when to move. And then we have the CEO of PIMCO today talking about maybe we're already in a recession. You see head spinning.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, then on top of that, Trump came out and said he was going to announce 100% tariffs on something else. I mean, I thought there was all the 100, you get confused, but on films produced outside the United States. Now, I know the White House maybe now is trying to walk that back a little bit. Trump says he's going to talk to the studios. And I have no idea how such a thing would even work. But here's a whiteboard today, very simple, just like it was Friday. Here's my numbers, 75.
The whiteboard always, it
75 to 80%.
You can't bully the
75
whiteboard.
to 80%, all right? And the word here is services. And I'm saying this is 75% of the U.S. economy is services. So if you're going to open tariffs up to suddenly starting to tariff services, that is something where you're not hurt as a consumer, you're hurt as a producer. Of course. If others start to reciprocate. I mean, in a sense, it's a little part of the Pandora's box that had not yet been opened till he
And Aaron,
opened
but
it.
you can't put the genie back in the bottle. That's why you're seeing them walk it back in terms of even on the movie theater industry, which actually is a surplus when you actually $15 billion. But the reality, you go down this path, this is a dark alley. And I think it just speaks to everything that we've talked about, is that you continue to ultimately what I believe is cause more investors to get frustrated. Who's right? What's real? When are the deals happening?
And
It's a bit of a bully tactic also. Like, what else he can get attention doing? Think about all the companies like Amazon and Apple who have gone into movie making over the last number of years and built studios. Like, why are we we're attacking ourselves?
Yeah.
Right. Right. And relative to going to China, I have a doll. Of course I do. It's called the Einstein of Wall Street doll, and I tried to market. I tried to source it in the United States. I couldn't. The only place you can make certain things is in China. That's just the bottom line. And so it makes no sense.
It's a great doll.
It's a great
It's a
doll.
bobblehead.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
bring
this little Einstein.
I'm
Yep.
going to bring it in tomorrow. We'll check it out. But still, I don't understand why we have spent so many years trying to build ourselves up, and the large corporations like Ford. Think about the financial crisis and how much the people in the Midwest who are where their lifeblood has been the auto industry for so long, how they got knocked down and really shaved down and have built themselves back up. Once again, to have to go through this kind of anxiety, right?
Yep.
People whose lives depend on that stuff. Now people are, there are probably people who are
talked
sitting
about
there
that last
not
week
going to
in
buy a Ford.
Pennsylvania, right?
Well, people are, yes, in Reading, Pennsylvania,
talked about it.
where they had to really look at this schools project that was underway, where the funding was pulled out from under them. But I think we have to take a step back and think about, what are ordinary people supposed to do? What are the consumers and investors sitting at home supposed to do in light of all this chaos? And the answer has to be to control the things that you can control. If we're headed for a recession, and we may be or we may not be, you got to make sure you have your emergency fund. You got to make sure that your resume is up to date, because it's going to get harder to find that next job. And you have to do whatever you can to position yourself to be able to take it, because all of these other factors are uncontrollable
It's
to the
exactly
individual.
that. I mean, obviously such important advice, but it's exactly that behavior, Paul, that can lead to a recession.
Exactly, but I think to what Gene, you were telling people asking about, should I contribute to my 401k? Should I contribute to my child's 529 plan. I think in times like this, people become tempted not to, but this is the time you have to stay the course on these
100%.
certain things, especially if your children are really young. And the Ford story is just sort of puzzling, though, because what's changed on the tariff front since GM reported their earnings? Nothing's
That is
changed.
true, right.
So I don't
But
understand
you know
why
what's
they had to pull
changed?
their guidance.
When they started to do the numbers, Farley, they recognized, hey, we got pulled back guidance, $1.5 billion tariff hit, and I think you're right. I mean, it's like the devil's in the details.
It's almost a way of showing that they don't look at their business this way. Companies did not look at it this way of what I'm getting from here in this sense. So it's almost like you got to look at your own numbers in a whole new way.
And to what
You know,
Hickey
for
said,
real, think about it. We just said that Barbies are up 49%. 49% on a 1999 Barbie is a lot of money. Right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
all these things, you know, Dan was talking about that the interruption of the supply chain for back to school is already in the mix, right? That's the lead time that we're thinking about. Not Christmas yet, but back to school. And so that interruption, there are people who are living paycheck
Look
to
at the
paycheck.
ships.
Right, and that you talk about. Those-
cargo doesn't lie.
And
And-
I did.
and the
I got a
cargo-
text.
yeah.
I got a text 2 days ago from a guy who's a truck driver who said that the truck stops have been half empty as much as they were last year at this time. Basically, that people aren't out there; their trucks are not full. Already, there's the interruption, the disruption of that supply chain goes all the way back.